Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Chuck Bezio.
I'm Jen Bezio.
And this is another episode of Spiritual and Paranormal Experiences with the Psychic Couple. You can always get to our website at
www.cbezio.com.
And on the website there is a ton of information there. Later on in the program I will be talking about our social media and all this other stuff. But without further ado, this episode of Spiritual and Paranormal Experiences is regarding Christmas paranormal stories. The Christmas Visitation, and this was by Kitty.
Alright, this series of strange events began in 2009, but has continued on and off ever since. Most recently, this month, January of 2013, I never really believed in the paranormal, and my husband Jack, though raised a strict Catholic, never believed in any of it. All of that started to change after my husband was diagnosed with lung cancer in late 2009.
The Psychic Couple has a website, and our website is www.psychiccouple.com. That's all one word, Psychic Couple, all one word, .com. One night, a couple of weeks later, I was struggling to sleep. As I lay there, I became aware that my husband was talking, but more like mumbling. He usually slept like a log. And who would he be talking to at 1 a.m.? A little puzzled, I turned to see Jack sitting upright in bed, talking away. Just as I did, the conversation ended. It was how it ended that creeped me out. Jack said, "Okay, night, Pa."
Jack's dad died 15 years earlier. When I asked Jack about it in the morning, he said he had no recollection of it. If I knew then what I would know later, I probably would have died of shock. I put it down to one of those waking dreams and tried to forget about it, and the months and Jack's illness went on. In October 2010, we were told the news that Jack's illness was now terminal. We made the decision to relocate to Ireland to be closer to Jack's family. For Jack's comfort, I slept in another room with our daughter. One night, just before Christmas, Jack's mother Mary and I were both struggling to sleep. Suddenly, we heard Jack talking again. I told her about what had happened, and she decided we should go look. We crept upstairs, and Mary walked into my husband's room and screamed.
The Psychic Couple does private readings. If you would like to get in touch with us, to go to our website at www.psychiccouple.com and schedule your reading with us. One of our previous shows that we just recently did was the 2014 Psychic Predictions. And one of the predictions have already been validated. Queen Elizabeth has started to hand over her reign as queen to Charles. Some of the duties are going to go to him in the spring, and some of them are going to go in March, as she becomes one of the longest reigning queens of all times, and Prince Charles being one of the longest reigning second in waiting persons ever to become king. He's going to now step up and start taking some of the powers of Queen Elizabeth. So go to our website at www.psychiccouple.com and schedule your psychic reading with the Psychic Couple, Chuck and Jen, today.
I looked in and Jack was sitting up, looking square at us. I nearly jumped out of my skin too. I asked him if he was okay. and he said he was, just very tired and thirsty. This is where it gets real creepy. As Mary got him some water, I asked him why he was talking to himself. He said he wasn't. He said his dad was sitting there talking to him and left as we came in. I was a little shaken, but thought that my husband was just being delirious. So I asked, what did your dad say?
The Psychic Couple can be found on Facebook, Google+, MySpace, and on Twitter at Psychic Couple. That's all one word. The @ Psychic Couple. That's once again the Psychic Couple. And our social media: Facebook, Google+, MySpace, and Twitter.
To help me, Jack answered every hair on my body stood up on end. Again, I dismissed it in my head as Jack's mind going. I gave him his water. Mary still looked pale, and then she and I went downstairs. Downstairs, she told me that it wasn't the sight of Jack that made her jump. There was a shadow sitting on his bed that walked toward us at the door. My husband died a month later in January 2011 when I returned to the U.S. with my daughter and my husband's ashes. We noticed things started happening in the house. The cat, which loved Jack, would suddenly purr without reason and rub against things that weren't there. Then my daughter, her son, and I would see black shadows move out of the corners of our eyes.
The Society for Spiritual and Paranormal Research is our nonprofit organization, and you can find out more information on our website at www.cbezio.com. I am the founder of the Society for Spiritual and Paranormal Research, and we do the TV show, we do radio show, there's the social media, blogs, articles, and I'll talk more about the social media and Facebook, where you do on Facebook later on in the program.
My grandson even said he saw his grandfather on the stairs. Tomorrow will be the 2nd anniversary of my husband's death, and the strange activity is happening more frequently than ever. I firmly believe Jack's still here. I never used to believe in anything like the paranormal, but over the last 2 years, more than I've written about here, the evidence for it is undeniable. Maybe I'm just grief-stricken, but it certainly seems to me there's more than meets the eye.
I'm not quite sure what this has to do with the Christmas visitation. She didn't put that in.
It was all around Christmas that all of this happened.
Oh, because he died in January 2011? Yeah. Oh, okay. So the paranormal activity occurred at Christmas time. Okay, the next report comes in from Kaylee, and she's titled At Christmas and Mr. Smith.
I'm a nurse, and I work in a hospital in Chicago. This happened to me and a couple of other girls a few years back, but it has stuck with us ever since. It makes the hairs rise on my neck just thinking about it.
It was during the 2010 holidays, about 2 weeks before Christmas. An elderly woman, I'll call her Mrs. Smith, was admitted to the hospital after she fell on some ice. She'd hit her head in the fall and was put in a medical-induced coma when she was admitted to help her internal head injuries recover better. Despite this, her husband insisted on coming every day. He was short, thin, and maybe looked a little gaunt, but otherwise he looked well. He was quite quiet, too, but always acknowledged us if we greeted him. He always arrived for the last hour of visiting time and would come dressed quite formally, obviously coming straight from work.
He would just sit by his wife or chat to her. It was very sweet, but also sad. I felt for him, as he was clearly quite lonely without her. A couple of days before Christmas, I decided to talk to him and asked, "How are you, Mr. Smith?" He smiled, looking a little surprised, but said he was well and thanked me. I asked if he was looking forward to the holidays, and he said he was.
Our radio shows that we do, and you can get the archives of these radio shows, is X Factor, Spiritual and Paranormal Talk with the Psychic Couple, and the other one is Readings with the Psychic Couple, Chuck and Jen.
Then, for some reason, I have no idea why, I asked if he was looking forward to getting his wife home. I could feel the eyes of my co-workers hitting my back. I remember his exact words were, "Oh, it's not that time yet." I was a little puzzled by the answer. Maybe he knew she would need a little while to recover. But either way, I felt so embarrassed by my previous question, I just dropped it and got on with the rest of my paperwork. The following day, Mrs. Smith awoke. The doctor said she was recovering well and had minimal trauma, and after a few days of close observation over the weekend would be a good time to go home. I didn't work that weekend, but when I came in on Monday, I heard Mrs. Smith was awake and was going to be discharged.
Some of the social media on www.cbezio.com is we're on Facebook, Twitter at CBEZIO, Google Plus, you can look under Chuck Bezio or www.cbezio.com. We're on Tumblr, Pinterest, MySpace, Blogger, SpeakerR, SoundCloud, Podomatic, Live Journal.
As she was leaving, I asked her how she felt, and I said that her husband must be glad she was going home. She just laughed and said, "My husband died 8 years ago." I felt cold all of a sudden. Before I had time to think, she left, and I was back at the desk. I knew some of the other girls had seen Mr. Smith, so I told them what Mrs. Smith said. They were as stunned as I was. One of the girls said that Mr. Smith hadn't been in all weekend, the time Mrs. Smith had been awake. Trying to be rational, we convinced ourselves that Mr. Smith was a fraud, visiting old patients as a kind of sick fun. So we described him to the hospital security, and they searched the previous week's security camera footage. When they got back to us an hour or so later, they said there was nobody on the footage, at least not matching the description we gave. We saw the footage for ourselves, and sure enough, there was nobody there. The video showed us looking up from our desks and acknowledging somebody who wasn't there. Some of the girls claimed they could see a blur where Mr. Smith should have been standing on the footage, but I'm not so sure.
On Facebook, we have a group called Chuck's List, and Chuck's List is where I put all spiritual and paranormal. I post to Facebook on Chuck's List for anything spiritual and paranormal. There's also bizarre news. It may not necessarily be spiritual and paranormal topics there, but it's really something you are not going to see in the local media. We also have a spiritual and paranormal experiences page for our TV show. We have an X Factors page for the radio show. The Psychic Couple, like I mentioned earlier in the program, has a Facebook page. We also have Spiritual Moments, which is exclusively regarding spiritual postings, and Paranormal Chronicles, which is exclusively just paranormal issues.
Okay. But I know what I saw. We all know what we saw. I never experienced anything like it. It creeps me out, but not in a bad way. It was sort of nice to know that our loved ones are always waiting around for us and looking out for us. Clearly, when Mr. Smith said, "Oh no, not that time yet," he meant his wife was going to die. My wife wasn't going to die at that time. I hope he's still looking out for her. I hope more that somebody is looking out for me.
I actually like this second story better than the first. The first story seemed a little kind of morbid to me. I don't know about you, but I mean, it is.
His father was visiting him while he was dying. It's comforting.
Yeah. Well, I like this one that the dead was visiting somebody that's going to live. Our next story comes from Crystal A. Kiss, The Amazing Ghost Box, Christmas Eve.
I have always been intrigued by the subject of the paranormal. Despite witnessing abnormal events, I somehow have told myself that there had to be some logical explanation that I was unaware of. That thought process has now been thrown out the window after what happened Christmas Eve of 2012.
My husband and I have always enjoyed watching the endless reality paranormal shows that flood the cable channels. In particular, I found all the newest ghost hunting equipment interesting. Now, back up to November of this year. I had been Christmas shopping online and had run across a site that sold ghost boxes. The price was affordable, and on a whim, I ordered one. You think I could get the word ghost out instead of gold?
The box arrived within days. My husband tore it open and turned it on immediately. All that was heard was an annoying noise of the box scanning at high speed through numerous channels. My husband scoffed at me and said, "So you decided to buy a radio that has been deliberately set to malfunction or just scan channels non-stop?" I felt kind of dumb and turned it off and threw it in the top of the refrigerator.
Remember, you can get your psychic reading and schedule your psychic reading with us, the Psychic Couple, at our website, www.psychiccouple.com. And all 2014 psychic predictions are on the web. So is in 2013, 2012, 2011, our report cards. So the validations are there of our abilities to do psychic predictions. And so schedule your psychic reading with the Psychic Couple today.
Over the course of a month, periodically while home alone, I would turn it on for 5 to 10 minutes and ask questions. Never once did I hear anything that seemed remotely relevant. I started telling myself I was such a gullible idiot.
On Christmas Eve, my oldest daughter and her friend were in town. She looked at the box, and I explained to her that it's a radio that scans through channels, and it supposedly can pick up voices of spirits. My daughter and her friend chuckled. She sat down at the kitchen table to eat and turned the box on. I told her to turn on a voice recorder so she could replay it after listening to the box, because it's hard to hear the words as it is scanning.
The box scanned for several minutes and it was nothing. I walked out of the kitchen and within a few moments my daughter yelled, "Mom, it's saying your name." I walked in doubting it. She was insistent she heard it several times. I spoke out loud, "Can you say her name?" meaning my daughter's name. And moments later, to my shock, it said her name 3 times over several channels. We let the box run for a few more minutes and turned it off.
My daughter started telling her dad when she walked in what transpired. He smirked and said, "You are just hearing what you want to hear."
Later, when it was quiet, I sat down with headphones and a notepad. I transcribed everything that was said from the box, minute by minute. I clearly heard my name said 3 times in 3 different voices, along with my daughter's name several times, and, the most shocking near the end, I heard my husband's name, and then his brother's name, a pause, and the name of my ex-brother-in-law, who committed a horrible crime and is now in prison. His name was never spoken. It's been taboo to even bring his name up after what he did.
I shut off the recorder and sat there numb. I couldn't believe what I just heard. I closed the notepad and asked my daughter's friend to go in a quiet room and transcribe the recording as to what she thought she was hearing. She came out a half an hour later and our transcriptions were identical. She said, "Yeah, that's exactly what I heard." My husband listened next, and he looked pale and had nothing else to say.
That early evening before the sunset, we drove to a cemetery nearby. I stood over a grave that had the name Laverne and Robert on it. I asked if Laverne was with us. A moment later, we heard a loud and clear Robert, then a pause, and their name broken up over 3 channels.
Oh, they took the ghost box to the cemetery. Interesting. I was flabbergasted. It's one thing to hear stories of the paranormal or to watch someone's account of the paranormal on TV. But it is a whole other thing to hear it with your own ears in your own home. I am still attempting to grasp what happened on Christmas Eve. It has changed my entire belief system permanently.
What a Christmas gift. Confirmation that somehow, someway, an intelligent, disembodied voice can communicate with you. I am unsure exactly who or what it was at this moment, but it's clearly responding to us. I ask that you go and experiment for yourself before you say, "It can't be."
Have you ever used a ghost box?
No,
or
but
listened,
I've heard
or
of them. I know people that have them.
Yeah.
I've done white noise.
Yeah, I have too.
I've never used a ghost box, but I've used a radio. I've used a blank television set.
Has anything occurred?
No, just skips and buzzing, and frequencies changed, but I'd never actually gotten anything out of it. I thought at some points I might have seen a figure or a hand or an arm move, but it was so distorted.
Once again, the Psychic Couple does psychic readings, so schedule your psychic reading today with the Psychic Couple at www.psychiccouple.com.
The 4 a.m. Christmas Ghost by Mrs. M.
I guess she didn't want to give her name. My husband and I decided to go away for Christmas 2012, so we stayed in a lovely, quaint hotel known to us in the northwest of Scotland. Upon arrival, we were mildly shocked to discover we were the only guests in the hotel for the first 6 nights of our week-long stay.
Undisturbed, we were quite looking forward to the solace. The hotel is quite old, or at least the building is. Slightly run down, we were not too surprised to find that we were the only guests staying over Christmas. Tired from the long journey we had that day, we went to bed around 11 p.m. But at exactly 4 a.m., I distinctly remember looking at the clock. I woke feeling violently ill.
Above our door, there was a glass panel, and I noticed the light in the hall was on, but was more concerned about how sick I felt to think anything of it. By this stage, I felt absolutely awful. I can honestly say I don't think I've ever felt so ill before. I went in the bathroom to splash water on my face, trying not to wake my husband.
The bathroom door was very close to the door of the hotel room, and whilst in the bathroom, I could clearly hear footsteps marching back and forth up and down the hallway outside. They were very loud footsteps, not walking particularly fast or slow. They were just very loud. I was more annoyed than concerned. After all, we knew the manager lived on the floor above us in the hotel, so it must have been him. But at 4 a.m., why was he wandering around the hotel and making such noise? It sounded like someone was deliberately exaggerating their footsteps to create as much of an audible racket as possible.
Next thing, the light outside the hallway began to turn on and off, and with each on and off, there was a very distinct crackling noise to accompany it. By now, the footsteps were not merely walking up and down the hall, they were stopping every so often directly outside our room, which had its own mini corridor to it. If you think of a T-shape, that is what the corridor were like. So whoever it was had to turn a corner to come right up to the door.
I was certain someone was outside the door. I could feel it so strongly, like when someone is standing behind you and you just know that they are there, even though they make no noise. I still assumed it was the manager. Maybe I have been making a lot of noise, and he was listening in to check that I was okay, perhaps. I expected him to knock, but there was nothing, until the footsteps retreated back into the main corridor and began stomping again. This happened a few more times, with the footsteps stomping outside the door. By this time, my husband woke up as I was coming out of the bathroom, he too hearing the noises. I crawled back into the bed, still feeling sick as ever, when suddenly the footsteps stopped. We listened for a while, but everything was quiet. As soon as the footsteps stopped, I felt immediately better. It was as if I had never been ill. The relief was immense. We quickly fell back to sleep.
We're also on YouTube and Ustream, so if you would like to see prior episodes of spiritual and paranormal experiences, visit our website at www.cbezio.com.
The next day we spoke to the manager and we explained the story, jokingly inquiring as to why he had been pounding about in the corridor the previous night. He laughed and explained that he had not been in the hallway, certainly not at that time, rather. He had been watching television in his room until the small hours. Let me repeat that sentence.
Watching television in his bed.
Television in his bed until the small hours in his room on the floor above us on the other side of the hotel. He assured that there was no one else in the hotel that night. Later that day, we spoke to the receptionist. My husband decided to push the subject and flippantly asked, "So which one is the haunted room?" She said something like, "It's not the rooms, it's the hallway," before trailing off and looking at us like she shouldn't have said it in case we thought she was silly. We didn't laugh. She went on to say that a professor of psychology had taken a photograph in the very hallway during a visit and the face of an elderly woman could clearly be seen. Furthermore, guests had reported footsteps walking up and down the hallways at 4 a.m., glasses smashing to the floor, in certain rooms at 4 a.m. and problems with the lights, again, at 4 a.m.
A lot of people have stories of spooky occurrences during the holidays. Why do you think that is?
Well, one of the main reasons why a lot of these spooky occurrences or miraculous occurrences or happy occurrences happen because people are more in tune and more aware of their surroundings, of their family that they have with them, and of the holidays and family that have passed, that are from the past, remembering loved ones that have gone.
For past Christmases during happy times.
In that instance, it gives energy to the possibility of them coming through. And that's why, especially at the wee hours in the morning, anytime between 3 and 5 a.m., which is, the witching hour where the veil is the most thinnest, you can hear and see people from your past.
Do you think it occurs more at the Christmas during the holiday season, or do you think people are just more open during that?
Well, that's just it. I don't know if it occurs more, but I do know that people are definitely more open. People are definitely saying to themselves, "Oh, if only I could have one more," or "Oh, if only they were here," or "Oh my God, I wish that you could see this." And with those statements, and with you giving that will, that thought of wanting, it helps to bring them through. And that's why a lot of times when you're in those moments and you're snapping photographs of the kids opening presents, and you're snapping photographs of the first time you turn your tree on, or you're snapping photographs of your meal and the family sitting around the table, you see orbs. You see electric bolts, you see blue lightning, you see abnormalities that wouldn't necessarily be there at any other point in the year.
Has any spooky occurrences ever occurred to you during the holiday season?
I wouldn't say spooky. I really was not freaked out by it. I'm really not, the hair doesn't stand
ever. I mean, even as a child,
not
or
spooky,
as an adult.
No, I've had many encounters. I've seen many family members. I've seen friends. I have felt breezes, warm gusts of air. I have seen the tree move. I have seen shadows and forms out of the corner of my eye. But I know that they're family and their loved ones, and they mean us no harm. They're just letting us know that they're there with us, enjoying the holiday spirit and the family, and they're watching over us.
One of the things that I didn't mention on Facebook is that I do have a group called The Spirit of Christmas Magic. And I welcome anybody to post their miracle stories. It could be spiritual, it could be paranormal. And you're more than welcome to join in the conversation there. And recently we did a show that's going to be published exclusively on the internet regarding reincarnation, so I invite everybody to look for that. But I do have one question for you before we end our show here. Is it possible that because of the joy of the season, the love of the season, that our loved ones actually come and pay us a visit more during the holiday season?
Well, it's not so much more as it is that you're more open to it. You're more aware of your surroundings and the smells of the season and the smells of the holiday and the
sights and the sounds.
And you become more aware of everything around you, just taking it all in, sucking it all in. And at those times is when you realize and you notice that, hey, this is something very familiar. It's like, I smell Grandma's perfume. Or I smell Mom cooking cookies in the kitchen. Or I smell Grandpa's famous pumpkin pie.
Or all of a sudden,
you'll see a curtain move, or you'll see an ornament sway, or you'll hear something that's very familiar that only a person that you know that was them.
Yeah, something that will remind you of
all of a sudden
your
that
one
song will come on the radio, or the TV will go off, or the tree will come on, or some kind of a sign that your family is letting you know that they're there and they're with you.
Objects appear out of nowhere. One of the things that occur to me often is I will have a thought or a memory of a past loved one, and then a song will come on that reminds me of that person.
Well,
this doesn't happen just at Christmas time, though, but this happens.
These are times that you're more aware. Like, I had a water fountain that sat on the shelf in our window for years, and it would just circulate water, and it had a bubbling fountain in it, and a ball that spinned in the water. It was like one of those, running water for your chi or for your health or well-being,
tranquility, help with meditation.
When I first got it, it had a red, blue, yellow, and green light that kind of faded into the next, and then kind of faded into the next. A very tranquil, warm glow to it. Well, as the years went on, I lost the red, and then I lost the green, and then I lost the yellow, and then I lost the blue. I just assumed that the light bulbs had blown out, but the fountain itself still worked, so I kept it plugged in and going, and I would look at it every so often. Well, during the holidays, especially after your grandmother passed away, one night I was looking at the fountain, and all of a sudden, wouldn't you know it, with your grandmother's favorite color being red, that red light came on and faded in and faded out, and then it would stop.
The first time that I saw the fountain actually light up after it had discontinued lighting up.
Now, it had discontinued with any kind of lights for the better half of a year.
Yeah, but the first time I saw it light up again was the night that my grandmother actually passed away. And me and you were sitting in the living room, and we were talking, and we were talking back and forth about memories.
Reminiscing and all our fun times and how we miss and what we miss.
And all of a sudden, the red light came on. And
none of the other colors ever came back on. It was just that one red light.
And then eventually the red light.
And I couldn't get it to come on by myself. I'd plug it in, unplug it, I'd fiddle with the lights, and fiddle with this, and change the water in the fountain. I could not get that sucker to light.
Honestly, my grandmother likes to play with these types of things. Her favorite thing were cows, and you have a flashlight that has dead batteries in it, and the thing will not.
It moves. It
will not
moves
work.
Like a cow, and whenever it's got good batteries in it, it moves when the flashlight is on. It opens its mouth, the flashlight is in its mouth, and then when you're pointing the flashlight, it moves.
And
it's been dead for years. I haven't put new batteries in it for at least 2 or 3 years.
And spontaneously, it will just start mooing. One or two things.
The thing is, I have a hippo. And the hippo will start bubbling and making its noise too. And your mother loved hippos.
Yeah.
She's been gone now 21 years, or almost 21 years.
On February 10th, yes. On your 21st anniversary of your 21st birthday. Yes, my mother did pass away on Jen's birthday. My grandmother also did it and it's called apportation, where the psychic world can actually interact with material objects.
Our physical world.
Yeah, our physical world. And the first time this occurred to me, not occurred, but the first time this happened, me and my daughter were actually in her bedroom, and we were talking about my grandmother and how she loved making cookies, and the last time that Amanda had spent time with her, she had actually was making Christmas cookies with my grandmother. And she was telling me about all the things that she had done and how special Grandma had made the holidays. And when we walked out of her bedroom, a doll, a porcelain doll that never worked since the day she got it brand new.
Its music box started playing.
And its head, because it was supposed to be a movable...
It was supposed to be animated.
Yeah,
it was supposed
with
to
its arms
sway and play music.
And it played for a good 30 seconds and stopped, and never occurred again. And never been able to get this thing to ever work again. But after talking about my grandmother, that was the first time I had ever really realized.
But that's the way that she came through for Amanda.
Yeah. And I was there to witness it. I've been there to witness the moves. I've been there to witness
the moves
the red
were for
light.
you. The moves were definitely for you because you sit out in the office and you sit on the computer, and it happens in the later hours of the day when your grandmother would have been up and doing dishes, listening to a radio while everybody else slept. So that mooing was for you. The red light in the fountain was for me, and the dolly was for Amanda.
You remember that Christmas that when my grandmother was here and you had just gotten me that 4-foot Santa that was animated?
5-foot dancing Santa.
Yeah, it danced and sang. And how she sat by that thing. And she kept...
It had a motion sensor on it, and we turned it on for her. And she sat there for an hour making him dance and jig and
she laughed.
Singing along with him.
Yeah, to the point where my grandfathers had to say, Ruth, stop that! Trying to visit here, and there's a dancing Santa singing.
He's like, could you please unplug that thing?
Christmas memories. I hope everybody had a really enjoyable...
And finish your story about the Santa.
Oh, well, it did dance and sang, and its lips would move, and...
Yeah, but it hasn't... Its lips haven't moved, or its head hasn't moved since she's been gone.
Since she's been gone, yeah. Yep, that was the last year that it was completely automated. Its body still moves.
There was no reason for it to be not working. We took pristine care of it. I gently packed it away every year and disassembled it in its right parts, and we took very, very good care of it. Put it back in its own box, sealed it up in a bag, took it out every year, and it just stopped working properly.
You've even took it out and tried to get it to work again. All the parts are workable. All the parts are there.
Anybody out there that doesn't realize it is I'm pretty good with tools and figuring things out.
Wow, your ego's just gotten real.
I'm just saying that I can fix a lot of things that other people have thought
she's
were
a jack
broken.
of all trades, master of absolutely nothing. No, just I'm just joking with you right here.
Remember that the next time your internet's down.
Well, I do hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and welcome to 2014. Once again, our websites are www.cbezio.com
and www.psychiccouple.com.
I'm Chuck Bezio.
I'm Jen Bezio.
And this has been another episode of Spiritual and Paranormal Experiences. Until next time, God bless.
Peace be with you.
Ta-ta!